The Groningen is one of the best tier 9 destroyers in the game. I have the Friesland, but that one was discontinued and an exact copy was put in the Dutch tree, just to make it make a little more sense given the new Dutch line and this being a Dutch ship. They left Friesland in the pan-European area just because people had already had it there and had commanders there. But the Groningen in that Dutch line, the tier 9, you can get it for 1 million free XP. There's other ways of getting it, but I definitely recommend trying to get it the free route. Free XP is something that you can get relatively easy these days by stacking flags that you're going to get from free Christmas crates that you get by playing your tier 10s, or by just playing daily missions out, and you get a bunch of flags that you can stack for free XP. You want to stack as much base XP and free XP as you can, and honestly, playing clan battles is going to be one of the best ways to do that. You're going to get 2,500 base XP guaranteed on every win, and that's an amazing way to make free XP. That's the fastest way to get XP that I know of, and clan battles is pretty good this time. Since there are no aircraft carriers, it's pretty fun to play, assuming you got some good people to play with. But the reason I say you should try and get this ship is it's just unbelievable consistency. The playstyle is pretty fun given that you're completely a gunboat. There are no torpedoes to distract you. This is a great ship to learn how to play some of the hybrid ships and more gunboat style of ships, since it forces you into that playstyle. Sometimes I find that when I'm playing a gunboat that has torpedoes, sometimes I shift into the torpedo destroyer role a little bit too quickly, and I should just be firing my guns and making use of the immense firepower on a lot of these ships. And playing the Friesland, playing the Groningen, it's going to train you to think more like a gunboat player. It's going to train you to play this role just a little better on some of the more hybrid ships as well. It's going to help you learn how to aim too. You can see my aim wasn't the best on this Freddy here. I'll show my build at the end, but this is a very greedy build. We're going for as much damage output from these guns as possible, so there are ways of building it to make it a little easier to play, given you take some concealment. But the smoke hydro combo is amazing, and it allows you to play relatively aggressively. We pushed in quite aggressively, trying to contest the C cap. You'll notice this match is a full down tier, right? We're completely top tier here. We're very lucky to see this, but that happens with tier 9 quite often, so getting yourself a good freemium tier 9, say freemium, because you can get it for free by grinding. You don't have to spend money on this ship. And it's going to be amazing for grinding out credits or just getting yourself some fun matches in. I really do find myself enjoying these consistent high DPM gunboats much more often recently. I've found, as many of you know, that as a battleship player, I found these ships incredibly annoying to fight. But since I've been getting annoyed with certain aspects of playing Battleship, I figured I should probably branch out and try and play some more of these ships I find annoying, figuring out their weaknesses, because obviously they have a ton of weaknesses, and the Friesland Groningen is no different. You don't have a heal here. Playing something like the Smalland or Ragnar, the tier 10 versions of the gunboat DD from the Dutch line, or the pan-European line, I suppose, it is rough to not have a heal. It's very, very easy to get used to that. So that's another reason I say this is a great ship to learn on. Not only is it a tier lower than what tier 10 has to offer, it also doesn't give you a heal. So once you do get into some of those tier 10 ships that get heals, you're going to play even better. This forces you to really consider the pushes and plays you make. For example, we're pushing here very aggressively. I pushed very aggressively at the beginning. It's because I know that these DDs aren't going to have any support. Our hydro being 5 kilometers is going to give us advanced warning and able to, well, push into smoke screens and kind of murder DDs very, very easily. It's what this ship is very, very good at, and it's a scary ship to fight against. The thing you have to remember, though, is this ship lacks a heal, and it's not got the best concealment, and it doesn't have a speed boost, so you're not going to be dodging very many shells very easily. It forces you to take good fights for you. The most unfavored trades possible for the enemy ship, right? You want to be in the most advantageous position as possible, since you can't rely on speed, acceleration, maneuverability, or a heal to bail you out of poor positions. And that's why I think this ship or the Groningen, they're the exact same, you can see one on screen right now, are great ships to learn how to play gunboat DDs. And honestly, it's one of the better tier 9 ships. So getting yourself this ship, it's amazing for team play. You really don't have to worry about carries at all, since this is one of the best AA platforms in the game. Your defensive fire absolutely shreds planes, so if you're one of those DD players who gets focused by the carriers a lot, maybe not every game, but it's very annoying given that DDs can't really defend themselves, and one of their main strengths, of course, is the ability to play with concealment, and the carrier negates that, and that gets frustrating too. But this ship having such good AA, it allows you to play a normal DD role even in a CV game, since he's probably not going to go after you. A smart aircraft carrier player isn't going to go after you unless you're putting yourself into a position where you're going to get shot at by his team, by him spotting you, right? He's going to lose his planes, but he has to make that trade-off worth it. And most of the time it's not worth it, assuming you're able to play in reasonably safe positions on CV games. You can see we're going to switch over to the AP here and absolutely shred this Buffalo. That's something you definitely want to consider doing in a lot of these ships, is swapping to AP on these destroyers. You can see how few overpens we're getting. We're getting some shatters and bounces for sure, but plenty of full pens as well, and that does a ton of damage to cruisers, battleships. Other destroyers, sometimes I find it too inconsistent against DDs. That's why I tend to just spam HE. Onto enemy destroyers, if you get too worried about that little tiny bit of DPM you gain from AP, I think a lot of it is lost in the swap time, for one, because most of the time you fire a salvo, then you double click your 2 key to switch to AP, which resets your reload. Maybe a second longer than a normal reload would be. It's minor, but it does mean you have worse DPM while you're swapping. The other thing is the shatters, bounces, overpens. But if you're getting any of those, HE is just going to be better. So that's why against DDs, I'm just going to be spamming HE. Most of the time, I'm going to be spamming HE, let's be honest here. The fire chance is something that is incredible on these ships. So getting yourself a Witherer, a Arsonist, all these things is incredibly common, especially when battleships push in. These ships are very, very easy to take down given you're aiming for the superstructures. You can see how good the arcs allow you to torture people over islands, right? Like, we're 5 kilometers away from this Bismarck over an island and we're still able to hit him. Of course, it means aiming at longer ranges in open water is more difficult, but that's something you can definitely get used to. These ships are really, 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 really strong, and they're great for learning this gunboat playstyle. It's a very good thing to know how to do in a lot of tier 10 ships, because all destroyers actually have guns. Even a ship like Shimakaze, I know, it actually does have a few guns on it. And knowing when and where to use them can make you a much better player, even in the torpedo boat destroyers of the game, since the guns on a lot of ships are capable of doing some pretty solid damage. Now, obviously, ships like the Shimakaze are not the gunboats like a Friesland, Groningen are, or other ships like Marceau, Daring, Kleber, that kind of thing at tier 10, but it still has decent enough guns that, given the right trade and the right situation, you should be using your Shima guns to open up on some of those incredible gunboat DDs and put them into some pretty rough situations. Of course, every once in a while, people haven't played against a Friesland or Groningen before, and they happen to wander into the 5-kilometer hydro while you're smoked up. And, well, you can see how good that gimmick really is. Loyang, one of the first ships to actually have that gimmick, didn't have amazing gun power. It was still good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the best gun power. But a ship like Friesland, with its gun power, having this gimmick is incredible. It's not always the most useful, and you certainly shouldn't be charging in with a smoke and hydro activated, trying to get in range to force that. That's not something you want to do in these ships. You're often going to find yourself getting killed if you do that. But someone pushes into you, oh man, it's Christmas. That is a free kill. And this Leon is hopefully going to go down. As you can see, some of these lower tier battleships, it's a little harder to aim for their superstructures. That's why it's kind of nice actually being in tier 10 games. You get ships like Kerfers, which Their superstructure is pretty much impossible to miss. There's a few others that are like that as well. Georgia comes to mind. But playing against some of the higher tier ships can be a good thing in some ways, given you know where to aim and how to play against them. This match, of course, is pretty solid already. 4 kills Confederate, 132k damage, but we can get a little more. This ship is awesome. I really am enjoying these gunboat DDs more. I've been playing the Smalland a little bit more often since I've been messing around in clan battles a little bit with that ship and having some fun trying to gun people down in that one. So playing the Friesland, playing the Groningen gets you used to those guns and the arcs and what you can and can't get away with. Moving up to some of those ships, if you happen to own them from this ship, it really does make you a better player in them while you've been playing the Friesland, since the Friesland or the Groningen does not have the tool set, the speed boost, the radars, that kind of thing, or the heals that those ships get. So you do learn how to play things just a little bit better. Even if these ships aren't the most powerful ships in the entire game, they're still really nice to own. And given that a premium at tier 9 gets some really nice matchmaker, and of course retains that amazing gunpowder. Are we going to get the Kraken? We are. I was aiming for the wrong parts of the Fiji. I was guessing that I could citadel him, and in fact I couldn't. It's a bit of a surprise to me. But every game you can learn something, right? So you just know you're not citadeling Fijis at 4 kilometers. You got to get a little closer. But a Kraken Confederate high caliber, pretty solid stuff. We were definitely top tier. We are supposed to carry that hard in those situations, and we did. Friesland, Groningen are amazing ships, and I think you should get one. As you can see in the Dutch tech tree over here, or the Netherlands, sorry, here it is. The Groningen for 1 million free XP. Sounds like a lot, but just a couple weeks ago, I was on 0 free XP. A few Clan Battles games definitely changed that. So it's not like that's going to happen for everyone. I understand it's not as easy all the time to get free XP, especially when you're starting out, but this is definitely a good ship to work towards. It's a lot of fun to play. It's somewhat of a unique playstyle, especially since you don't have those torpedoes. I, again, really do think it's a good ship to learn how to play these gunboat DDs. Really forces that playstyle. Now, the commander looks like this. Yeah, it's a very aggressive build. We are running Fearless Brawler, we're running Main Battery and AA Expert for the range, more damage out of our main guns, AA as well, but really it's the main guns here, an extra 5%. And of course, Adrenaline Rush, great for adding to your DPM as you go lower on HP. Survivability Expert, of course, is great for a ship like this, given you don't have any healing. So what you start with in the beginning of the match for hit points is all you get. So increasing that is very nice. I think Last Stand is just something that's necessary on these DDs as you're going to be open water gunboating, and this thing is not very maneuverable. You're probably going to take a couple hits. Preventive maintenance also helps with that. And incoming fire alert, I didn't really know what to do with my last point on this 21-point commander, so I just kind of threw it there. So that is the build. Definitely running concealment and superintendent instead of maybe range and main battery A specialist instead of these two. Running these two would make you a better team play destroyer and maybe make it a little bit easier to play since the concealment is 7.1 with this build. Not the easiest thing in the world to play around with given that concealment, but you can run a few different builds and have some great success with this ship. Something I really didn't touch on is the team play. You get American smokes. These are awesome long duration smoke screens that work really well for radar cruisers or just helping your division mates and teammates out. The Hydro's awesome, and the extra AA support is really nice for a lot of ships in this game that lack AA but are strong in other areas. It's a great division ship, it's a great solo ship. It's just a good ship overall. And I think that unfortunately, everyone won't be getting a ship like this, but I wish everyone could, because it's a unique, fun playstyle. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.